and welcome to episode 18 of the Lottie and Albert podcast. My name is Lindsay and I'm a crochet designer and editor from the Cotswolds in the UK. This is my podcast all about crochet and crafts. So very warm welcome if you are watching for the first time, and a really big warm welcome back to anybody who is a returning viewer. You can find me as Lottie and Albert everywhere on the internet. I'm most active on Instagram. I'm also on Ravelry. There is a Ravelry group for this podcast, very neglected by myself. But there's an introduce yourself thread in there, and there's also an ask me anything thread. So if anybody does have any questions or things that they would like to ask, then that is the place to do it, and I will start answering some questions on future podcasts. What else do I have to say? Today I'm going to be talking, as usual, about finished objects, works in progress, and new things. I've also got an update on the Little Hearts for Grace charity CAL blanket that I have been running, and I have the winner of the book giveaway to announce. The book giveaway was Crochet Kids Bags, so that will be coming up towards the end as well. I've already knocked something over, so it's going well. I have a house full today. Normally I podcast on my own. If you can hear the TV or any children in the background, then I do apologise. I have one finished object to show you today, and it's not one that you will have seen as a whip beforehand. Because it is a little project that I've been working on for Hobbycraft. If you haven't watched before, one of the things that I do is I'm a yarn ambassador for Hobbycraft and their Knitcraft, which is the sort of yarn arm of Hobbycraft. And what that basically means is I get sent yarn to review, and I also create patterns for their website occasionally, and yeah, just generally get to squish all the lovely yarn. So this month they set myself and the 3 other yarn ambassadors a little challenge, which was to put together a Valentine's make using 3 balls of their Knitcraft cotton blend. And the colours were white, pink and red. So this is my little offering, what I came up with. It is a little belly basket with, and I hope you can tell because they were a labour of love, little heart-shaped pom-poms. Heart-shaped pom-poms, really hard to make. I mean, don't let it put you off making the pattern. It's up on the blog and it's free if you want to make it. But yeah, I think you can buy heart-shaped pom-pom makers. So if you plan on making a lot, that's probably the way to go. I essentially just made a normal pom-pom and then trimmed it into a bit of a conical sort of cone shape at the bottom. You cut a sort of big V in the top of the pom-pom without cutting the threads, and then shape. Keep shaping and then shape some more. So part of the challenge was it had to be something that you could make in under 2 hours. And so I thought that Old Faithful, working several yarns together, would be the way to go. So as I said, these are the 3 colours, the red, the pink and the white. I wound half the ball into 1 ball of 3 strands, and then I wound those 3 strands with what was remainder, so it was a 6-strand yarn ball, same as I make my Lottie and Albert rainbow blankets with, but instead of using a 20mm hook, I used an 8mm hook so that it would make the basket really dense and yeah, functional. You don't want a loose basket. So it's supposed to be a little belly basket, but a fun twist in fun Valentine's colours. If you are watching this today, I didn't say the date, it's Saturday, and it is the 3rd of February. Saturday, 3rd of February. If you're watching this close to this date, Knitcraft are, little plug here, Knitcraft are actually holding, they've recently posted with the 4 other makes, this and the 3 other makes, and they're asking people to vote for their favourite. So, you know, if you want to go and say that this is your fave, obviously, you know, make it fair, look at the others first, but vote for me. I don't mean anything other than pride. And yeah, what's the word? The prize for me for making these heart-shaped pom-poms. The basket took probably like half an hour, and then the pom-poms maybe an hour and a half. Slight exaggeration, maybe an hour to make the pom-poms. So it was in under 2 hours, but yeah, I don't think I'd want to make 46 heart-shaped pom-poms like I do for the rainbow blankets. So that's my one finished object. A little bit of fun, a little bit of a Valentine's make. Maybe we can try and make Valentine's baskets a thing, and you can encourage friends, partners to fill them with sweets and chocolate. Too hopeful? No. Maybe that will be reserved for Easter baskets. So there we go. That's my one finished object for today. I do have, as ever, quite a lot of whips, but what I decided was I would just start showing the whips on podcast that I've actually worked on in the last 2 weeks, because otherwise I'm just kind of showing you the same half-finished thing every time I podcast. So today I have brought in my project bag made by my mum for me for Christmas, my Crochet Between the Lines shawl, which is pretty much, other than the basket, the only whip I have been working on, which is not like me, but I have been a little bit obsessed with it. This is where I have got to. If you watched last time, I think I'd maybe done, how much had I done last time? About this much. So I have put a little bit more on it. It is worked in single crochets, and how I'm getting this colour striping effect is I am using, the pattern calls for, 2 somebody even messaged me and said how you say it, sheepies yarns, sheepies whirls. The colours I am using are Lavendelicious and Blueberry Bam Bam. So here you can see, hopefully you can start to see the colour change. So right at the bottom of this point here, it's very contrasty. It's a sort of cream and a very dark purple. It looks almost sort of black and white. And then very slowly the cream is turning to grey and the dark purple is getting lighter. So it might just look like a kind of shadow, but that is actually the colour change happening. And if I hold them next to each other, then it's a bit more obvious. You can see how the colour has changed there. But what I really love about this is not the fact that it's worked in double crochets or single crochets if you're in the US, because that's the hard part, because it's a slow grower. But just look at this colour play and what happens. It's like an optical illusion. It's so stunning. I'm just going to do this actually this is quite hard work. So unfit. I showed the picture last time of what the finished shawl looks like, the finished picture from the pattern, and I'll pop it in again here because I think that is stunning and you can really appreciate what it looks like. So yeah, that's my main thing that I have been working on. I've had quite a busy 2 weeks. I haven't really had a huge amount of crochet time, but anytime I have had like an hour or so in the evenings, I've been putting a few rows on this. So I'm up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 stripes now, by which I mean these sort of columns. And I think the pattern in total goes to 28. So when you get to 28, you stop. This is the other side, which is equally. So you get the colour, the look on the other side too. So yeah, this is actually a what they're calling a make along that started on the 31st of January. I started mine before then. I'm not that quick, although I know some people are. I started mine, well, just middle of January really. I had started it 2 weeks ago, hadn't I? So, anyway, there's make along. It started. This is the crochet version, which is called Crochet Between the Lines, but there is also a knit version called Read Between the Lines, which I think was made first and has been quite popular, and they've now brought out this crochet version. And yeah, they're running that. I don't actually know when it runs to, but it's just started. So if you've got yourself some gradient yarn, I know quite a few people have whirls in their stash, and if you fancy making something that is a slow grower but is beautiful, then check it out. I'll put all the links to everything I talk about in the description box below, and I'll flash things up on the screen too, which you can then go and check out. This is the colour sort of up close. I'm pretty much in solid grey and solid light purple now. And so my next colour change will be the purple will start getting this light fleck of lilac in it, and the grey will start getting this light blue in it. So I'm really excited for that, and to see what it looks like with these two colours next to each other, because obviously the start was so high contrast. I'm going to have a section where I have this light blue and this sort of really lilac-y colour next to each other. So that's going to be really interesting to see what that looks like. And yeah, it's pretty much the colour changes that are keeping me going. If you have watched the podcast before, or if you follow me on Instagram, you will know that I have a little bit of a thing for variegated yarn, and I kind of have even since I started crocheting. I think that I am somebody who gets a little bit too easily bored, and so to have variegated yarn, it keeps me interested. So I'm really hoping that the momentum I have for this will keep going. If you are interested, the Sheep Peas whirls are, I'm going to tell you their composition, 60% cotton and 40% acrylic, and they are 4-ply. The pattern calls for a 3mm hook. I've actually used a 3.5 because I crochet really tightly, and I do wonder if I should even have gone to a 4mm, but I am getting drape, and I think just the nature of the stitch, it is quite a thick garment. It's not a really sort of thin, loose, lacy shawl, but yeah, can't wait for that. And it's still cold here, obviously, so it's going to be a lovely spring wear. I am wearing, by the way, my 2 Seasons cowl. This was Drops Andes, and just a mustard wool that I had in my stash. And I just popped it on because I thought it was a little bit chilly. A little bit grey today, a lot grey today, and a little bit chilly. Oh my goodness, I am so glad that we're out of January. January just is one of those months, isn't it? I do really suffer when I don't see sunshine. Not least because if you work and you're leaving the house when it's dark and getting home when it's dark, you don't see your house in sunlight until, you know, the weekend basically. And that's not fun. I am loving the fact that it's February. There are a few signs of spring. I'm very optimistic. There are a few signs of spring, and most importantly, it's getting lighter. So it's light when I get home now, and it's almost light when I leave the house, which is nice. And the weather's getting warmer for the kids to play outside. I am a little bit of a fair weather garden park person. It's just not enjoyable to sit in the park when it's grey, is it? So there we are. It's pretty much it for whips. Pretty much it. I'm going to move on to new things now, but I'm going to caveat this because I have said on Instagram that I'm on a self-imposed yarn buying ban. And so when I got the whirls for my Crochet Between the Lines shawl, I actually swapped them for 2 Cotton Flowers yarns that I had, which I mentioned last week. I swapped them with My Hands shop and the Stitchy Snail, and I did that just by posting on my Instagram stories, and loads of people responded, quite a few people responded offering swaps, which I thought was really, I don't know, I felt quite satisfied that I hadn't bought them, not least because the whirls are a little bit pricey, but yeah, that was a nice swap. So after putting myself on this self-imposed yarn ban, The very next day was online and saw the most drop dead gorgeous jumper patterns by a designer who goes by the handle 11 Handmade. And I saw one which is called the Goldenrod Sweater, and I think it was Lucy of Crochet Boxes was making it, and I have since seen that Lulu Loves is also making one, and she's actually been making one on her podcast. I've seen her talking about hers. I'll pop in a picture of it here. Not only has she got this really stunning pattern, but then in the same sort of square of 6 on her Instagram, she had another most amazing jumper pattern called, I think it's called the Sensum sweater, and I'll put another picture of that in here. They are just stunning. You know, sometimes when you see something, a picture of something or a pattern, and it honestly just gives you all the feels. That's what happened when I saw these two. I felt that I immediately needed to make them both. I had a little bit of a chat with myself because I had literally the day before said, I'm not going to buy any yarn. I had a look in my stash, and the trouble is I do have quite a lot of yarn. Maybe not compared to some people, but I feel like it's a lot. But I don't really have any sweater quantities or jumper quantities. I don't have sort of 10 balls of this and 6 balls of that. I maybe have 2 or 3 max of any one yarn, and they tend to be sort of 1 ball, or where I've been sent yarn to review from Knitcraft and Hobbycraft, I've got 4 balls, but they're the same yarn, but they're all in different colours, and that wasn't really going to work for a jumper. So what I actually managed to do was acquire some yarn courtesy of Hobbycraft, because I love them and they're so kind. Thank you so much. I sort of mentioned that I really wanted to make this sweater pattern, and that you know, could I review a yarn in the process. So they have sent me this. I mean, I didn't really think about this when I started filming today, what I was wearing, but clearly mustard is a fave. This is the Women's Institute Soft and Smooth Tweed, and it is gorgeous. Okay, I do already have a jumper in mustard, but this was from Primark 3 years ago, and in the men's section has frankly seen better days. So now I'm going to have the most amazing mustard hand crocheted Sensum jumper, because the wise person that I am, I was looking at these 2 sweaters. I bought both patterns. I love them both. One is 4-ply and the other is worsted or Aran weight. So I went for the Aran weight one. I already have one 4-ply project and I love it, and I do still have the motivation for it, but that motivation needs to be maintained. So I've got myself some Aran weight yarn, and I'm hoping that it'll work up nice and quickly. And look how beautiful it is. So I'll let you know how I get on with this yarn, and I'll let you know how I get on with the pattern. This yarn, for anybody who is interested, calls for 5mm hooks. It is 97% acrylic and 3% viscose. It's really soft and washable, which when you have 2 young children who are currently 2 and 3, because my little boy had his birthday, having things that are washable is pretty important. So there we go. That's a new thing, not a purchase, thank you, but a new thing. And yeah, also some new patterns, both of which I absolutely adore. So go check out that maker. I'll put all the links below if you like the look of those too. Do I have anything else new? Yes, I do. I have one other new thing, or a couple of other new things, all of which have been sent to me by just amazing, generous people. So a couple of podcasts ago, I was talking about some socks I had started making. And really helpfully, I haven't brought them with me, but they are socks based on a Vicky Brown pattern. I just got distracted by some really sweet little birds in the tree. See, easily distracted, very easily distracted. I think they're little blue tits or chaffinches or something. They're really tiny and really sweet. See, spring's coming. I was talking about my socks a few podcasts ago, and I had bought a set of mini skeins from Vicky Brown when I went to Yarndale last autumn, and I had bought sort of 5 different ones, and I started making some socks, and I intended for them to be mismatched, but one of the colours in particular was working up so beautifully, and I did happen to say, I kind of wish I had bought 2 of these because they're working up so beautifully, and I think they'd make a beautiful pair of socks. Wow. Amazing lady that she is, Kim of Lady Skein-Horn, contacted me on Instagram after watching my podcast and said that she had a skein and would I like it? And she sent it to me. Thank you so much, Kim. This is the yarn I'm talking about. It's called Christmas Sprinkles. Where it's not Christmas anymore, and it's got one of Vicky's really nice Progress Keepers stitch markers on. This one, if you can see the colour's not really showing up, but it's a little pink bell. What's wrong with me? I don't even have words today. A little pink bell. So I now have a second skein of Vicky's Christmas Sprinkles yarn. I feel that I did start making these socks with a red cuff, but I do also have some sort of pale pink, so maybe if I make them with a pink cuff they won't feel as Christmassy, because the colour does have sort of flecks of pink and almost like an orangey colour through it as well. I know that it's red and green, but it's socks, right? And I do like my socks to be quite bright and jazzy, so thank you, thank you, thank you. I did offer to do a swap with Kim, so I'm going to be sending her out a mini skein too. I'm just a lot less organised than she is because I haven't sent it yet. But she sent hers all the way from the Isle of Man, so thank you, Kim. I actually have family in the Isle of Man, and I did notice on my stats, because you get stats on YouTube, it gives you a breakdown of the countries that people are watching from. And it was showing the Isle of Man up as a separate country. For those of you outside the UK, the Isle of Man is a little island just off the west coast of the UK. Kind of in between Ireland and the UK. Don't shout at me, Kim, if I've offended anyone in the Isle of Man by that description. I love the Isle of Man. I've been there quite a few times as a child, and yeah, lots of my family live there. So basically my nana was one of 4, and her brothers and sisters all stayed on the Isle of Man and still live there now. My nana sadly passed away. She was the eldest, but yeah, she was the only one to move to the UK, to England. So when I saw the stat, I did actually wonder if it was a family member who would accidentally watch my podcast. But Kim, maybe it was you, or if there's anybody else from the Isle of Man, hi, leave me a comment. We keep threatening to come out as a family, so maybe this summer can be the one. And Kim, are there yarn shops on the Isle of Man? Hit me up with suggestions. But anyway, thank you is what I'm trying to say. Thank you. So that's another new thing. And Kim also very kindly sent some squares for the Little Hearts for Grace Cal. So thank you. Thank you, doubly. What else do I have to show you? I'm just looking at my list. New things. Yeah, I think that's it for new things. I do have a kind of new thing. I have some really nice balls of fluff to show you. This time last year, I was passing by a charity shop in the town where I was living at the time, and they had 2 bags of mohair for £10. This isn't even half of it. I need to weigh it because I don't know how much is there. But I decided last weekend I had a bit of a sort out of my craft room, and I decided to put some of my nicer yarns on display on a shelf because they need to be on display, right? Emily of Make really hilariously suggested on my post on Instagram that it can be a little bit, maybe it should be a little bit like trophy shelves. So instead of displaying medals, you're showing people around your house, you can just have your yarn on display in different places. So for instance, here are all my mohair yarns, next room, and here are my cotton yarns, which I think is an excellent idea. I had this bag of mohair, and this is what they all looked like. Yarn hoarder that I am, I bought them because they were a bargain, right? And I got something like, well, I don't even know how much I've got, but they were two big bags full of this really lovely baby pink colour, and also a darker sort of hot pink. And yeah, I just finally gotten around to, now I have my ball winder in Swift. This looks much more attractive than this. So rather than being shoved in a bag under the bed, I'm winding them up and I'm going to put them on display on my shelf, and then I'm going to make something out of them because I've had them for a year and I haven't made anything yet. But don't they look lovely? Honestly, when I was winding them on the ball winder, it was like I was making candy floss. They look just like candy floss. They have such a nice fluffy halo. I did think about making the goldenrod sweater out of this, but would it be super itchy? And would it annoy me? I was thinking, well, I could just make sure I'm always wearing a long sleeve t-shirt underneath, but I don't know. I'm tempted. What else could I make out of it? Can other people hit me up with suggestions for using mohair? What have you used it in? I know some people sometimes hold it with a skein of cotton or, you know, normal yarn. I'm guessing it's about a 4-ply, although I don't know because it's quite fluffy. I don't know if you'd even maybe treat it more like a DK. I need to swatch some things up probably and do some experiments, but yeah, they can look real pretty on my shelf, better than this attractive situation. Yeah. Next, shall we announce the winner of the book giveaway? I was talking last time about this book that I had been sent to review, and I ended up with 2 copies, so I thought it'd be really nice to do a giveaway. It's called Crochet Kids Bags. It's by the same publisher that Meteor Books that published the Peek Apparel, Friends of Peek Apparel book that I was also going on about because I had made the giant yarn animals. And it's this really sweet book full of cute different kids bags to make. And I did just sort of an open giveaway and asked people to comment and just asked to be entered. I have now drawn a winner, and I am really pleased to say that the winner is Lily Wallace. Lily, I have sent you a little message to email me your details. But yeah, if you don't get it, then hopefully you will hear this message too, and you can contact me and I'll pop this in the post to you wherever you are. Kind of hoping you're in the UK, but if not, that's fine because I didn't specify. I'll send it out to you. So there we go. I'm hoping to do a few more book reviews in the future. There's a few really nice crochet books that I have seen recently through my work in Molly. We often get sent press reviews early, but I figure there's not much point me reviewing them on here until they are actually about to come out. So if that's okay for me to review the press copies that have been sent through to Molly, then I'm hoping I can share some of them with you and you can share in the joy. And I just have a bit of a thing for books. I think Ravelry is an amazing resource too, but everything Pinterest, also amazing. Also a lot of dubious stuff on there, and increasingly a lot of clickbait. So you'll see something which you really want to make, but when you click through, it doesn't even really take you to the pattern. It's just somebody's blog or website where it's like, oh, 20 best crochet bags. It's sometimes hard to navigate. And equally Instagram, which you will know or probably will have guessed I'm a massive fan of because I've already mentioned it about 10 times. I love Instagram, but the hashtags are also really hard to navigate. There's no real way of filtering or searching. And I think sometimes the Humble book is overlooked because actually the publishers and the authors have already spent the time curating and putting together and technically checking the patterns. So self-published patterns are amazing, and I buy lots, and I also self-publish my own patterns, so I'm not slating them in any way. But you don't always know what you're getting until you've bought it, because often it's just somebody with a computer and they don't use pattern testers, or they don't get it technically checked. And so you could spend £3, £4, £5, £6 on a pattern, which doesn't even make sense. So at least with books, you know where you are. The work's been done. People have worked really hard to put it together. The photography is usually beautiful. All the graphs are really clearly laid out. So I am championing craft books and magazines as an overlooked resource. Everything is at our fingertips on the internet, but is that always a good thing? Anyway, that was a bit of a rant. It wasn't supposed to be a rant. Next up, I just want to give a little quick update on the Little Hearts for Grace Cal. Now that we are into February, the Cal has in theory closed. If you're watching this and you have a square at home that you have made or is half made, then don't panic, because we are not making up the blanket for another week or two, but the Cal has officially closed, so we would really like to receive your squares in the post now. If you have made them, thank you please, that would be awesome. I just found this one in my project bag, which my colleague Becca really kindly made. Thanks Becca, you're a sweetheart. That was super cheesy. I was going to say star, and then I thought that sweetheart might be better, because heart, it didn't work for me, so we won't try that again. Sorry everyone. As you can see, you may have noticed a little stack going on behind me. What you can see here are over 200 squares which have been sent in, and I also have another little stack of parcels upstairs waiting to be opened. So thank you so much if you have sent in a square. A few people have been messaging us and asking if we received their squares, and I want to slightly apologise, because it's gotten quite hard to track and to individually sort of message everybody on Instagram and thank them. But please know that if you have sent a square, we almost certainly have received it, and we are so grateful. And when we although the sort of call for squares has now finished, we are still going to be sharing lots and lots of updates and photos as the blanket starts coming together and is made up. So you should be able to see the blanket and see the squares, and you will hopefully, well, I guess it depends what yarn you use, but some of them are a lot more distinctive than others, but you may be able to spot your squares. I also have been taking photos. The first kind of batch of packages wasn't so organised because I didn't quite realise how many we were going to have in. I kept all the little cards and notes and everything that people had included, but I wasn't documenting in any way who had sent what in. But the last couple of batches that I've received, I have been photographing the squares. So I'm going to try and put together some kind of flipagram or reel with all those photos on and put them up on the Little Hearts for Grace page, so people can just sort of flick through, excuse me, and have a look and see. And so if you haven't heard from us personally, please don't think it's because we're not grateful, because we're incredibly grateful. It's just been more of a logistical, not really been possible to send, because we've had so many, to send everybody a personal message. I hope that's made sense. So yes, the plan now is to, as I said, know a few people have sent them in over the last couple of days, so we are collecting them in, and we're going to set a date. It's probably going to be the second or third weekend in February where we're going to start making the blanket. I then need to apply for a local license to raffle the blanket, and we are going to start selling raffle tickets locally, and I'm intending on roping in every person I know and their aunt and their uncle to either sell or buy tickets, because I feel that so much work has been done, mainly by other people, designing the patterns and making the squares and sending them to us. The blankets are going to be absolutely stunning and beautiful, and I want to do every possible thing I can to basically make money for the charities, because that was the overall aim. That was the initial aim when we started this, and that's really what we wanted to do as our way of trying to support our friend and our little girl, when in reality there's nothing we can do to help our friend. But we know that fundraising is really important to them and really close to their hearts, and so that has been the aim in this charity blanket crochet along that just little Jan and I have been running. Last weekend we did actually have Grace round here in this very room. Her and her family popped around, Jen did too, and we had a look at all the squares that had been sent in so far, and we took some really sweet photos. We're quite keen to get some local sort of press coverage, again, in order to sell as many raffle tickets as possible, and so we thought if we took some nice snaps at this stage of all the squares before they have been made up into a blanket, then they would be some really nice photos that A, you guys can enjoy, and B, we might be able to get some press coverage off the back of. So, I'll pop some of those in. I intend to put some in at the start, but I'll pop a few in at the end as well if you'd like to see those, and I'm going to share some on the Little Hearts for Grace Instagram page. So, I'm talking so fast, and I apparently have a bit of a cold. I can't breathe. I also want to say thank you to those of you who sent little presents for Grace in with your squares, because that was amazing. And also thank you to anybody who sent tea, because also much appreciated. And an especially big thank you to the person who sent a little package full of goodies all the way from New Zealand. This was from M-Boys. Now, I need to look on my Instagram, because I'm sure I know who you are, but just by your initial and your surname, I can't think what your Instagram handle is. It's the trouble, isn't it? You get so familiar with people's Instagram handles. I don't even know anybody's real name. Some people I just think of as, oh yeah, that's Steel and Stitch, or oh, that's Crochet Boxes, or that's Candidly Rhubarb. People have real names. It's like being a mum and you just get known as your child's name. You know, Rosie's mum. I've got a name. This amazing person has sent a little package all the way from New Zealand, and she has sent yarn. So I haven't got the full package here, because basically I split it up with myself and Jen and also Grace and her mum. So we had some really gorgeous chocolate, and we each took a bar. There was a really big cookie thing, which I just ate myself. And she sent 2 balls of yarn, this brown one and also a pinky one, which I gave to Jen, or Jen chose that one. But what I think is amazing is this this yarn, the fibre content. It's part alpaca, okay? It's part possum, and it's part polwarth. I'm not even sure that I know what a polwarth is, but this yarn is made from polwarth and possum fibres. How amazing is that? The yarn is called Outlaw Yarn, and it says proudly made in New Zealand. I don't know what I'm going to make with this yet. Maybe some kind of colour work with a cream. Oh, hang on a minute. Some kind of little fibre mashup. Brown and pink. Always nice. See, this is why it's nice to have your yarn on display, because you see possibilities and ideas that you didn't see before. So thank you so much. She also sent an amazing pack of tea. It is ginger and lemongrass tea with kawa kawa. Yeah, see, I don't know what kawa kawa is. I'm guessing it's a plant. Probably tells you on the back. It says that it's from the East Cape of New Zealand. So thank you so much. That will be much enjoyed when we're making up the blanket. Yeah, just people are beyond grateful. I'll read you the little card. She says, Kia ova, Lindsay, Jan and Grace. I thought since this will be coming from the bottom of the world, I've jam-packed as much as I could in this homemade reversible bag. That's right, she sent the most gorgeous handmade project bag, which I actually gave to Grace because it had the sweetest unicorn pattern on it. And if she's anything like my daughter, which she's the same age, they love bags. This basket Rosie has been nagging me for the past sort of week as I've been making it, saying, can I play with it yet? Can I play with it yet? They just love putting stuff in bags and carting it round, playing grown-ups. So I gave the little bag to Grace. I'll pop in a picture of the full package here. She says, and the stitch marker that was on my yarn, some, oh, I can't read this or pronounce it, Otiova treats, tea, possum yarns, and of course the main reason for this package, one each of the heart squares for the little Hearts for Grace blanket. I did modify some squares to ensure I got the correct size, and then I threw them in the washing machine. Thank you so much. Oh look, she has put her name, Marja. Oh, I'm so sorry if I'm saying that wrong, because you are the sweetest, nicest person. Thank you so much. So yeah, thank you to everybody who has sent squares and love and little notes for Grace. Somebody else, and I've forgotten your name off the top of my head, but I've photographed it. Sent a square and they said, I'm 16 and purple's my favourite colour too, and they'd written a little note to Grace saying how brave they thought she was. Like, honestly, I cry when I open half of these packages. They are just so heartwarming and nice, and I think that just the sheer amount of squares we have received is such a testament to how kind the craft community is and how willing people are to share their time and help and put effort into something which will help others. I just think that's really nice, and I'm so proud to be a part of it. And yeah, thank you all so much for joining in and helping. I didn't realise I was going to get emotional then. Probably not what you want to watch on your podcast, but there we go. I think that's everything that I had on my list. I've got a little list today because I felt like I was going to forget. Yeah, I guess the only thing to say is stay tuned. In 2 weeks' time we may have started the blanket for you to see, and what else can I say? 2 weeks' time I probably won't have finished my shawl, but there may be progress, and I probably will have started my jumper because I don't have much willpower and I don't think it will last out till then. Oh, one last thing, if anybody has watched before and they saw the butterfly blanket I made, I have finally put a blog post up with the details of how I made it, all the pattern information. It was based on a square which was somebody else's design, which I then modified into a larger blanket and bordered. So I've linked everything that I referred to and used and put loads of pictures in. So if you were a fan of the butterfly blanket or you wanted to make one, then there's a blog post up all about that. I've got a few more free patterns coming up over the next couple of months as well, so watch out for those. Thank you so much for watching and for listening to my rambles as usual, and I'm slightly surprised I haven't been disturbed. Amazing. Truly amazing. Obviously Alice in Wonderland is much more interesting than me. Thanks again guys, and I will catch up with you in 2 weeks' time on here. Or as I said, if you want to follow me over on Instagram or Ravelry, then I will see you there. Please feel free to leave me a comment. I love reading your comments, or to hit thumbs up or subscribe, and then you will get notified each time I post a new podcast or anything else. So I'll see you all soon. Thanks again. Bye bye.